into the substance of what happened, Deputy English just walked away. Actually, at the very moment that he starts describing, what's going on with this gun. So our basis to admit both of these exhibits, and specifically Carter's, would be the stipulation between the parties that we took up before trial that all of the body camera in this case is authentic and meets the 8036 business record hearsay exception. During the conference that we just had with the state, brought up that we had some objections to the content of some of the video. I just would reiterate that those objections we had to some of the content were based on the confrontation clause, not any hearsay argument which we've already stipulated around. And the confrontation clause is unique to the accused, and we raised that because we were concerned about the state not calling all of these other purported eyewitnesses. So that being said, we also supplement the basis for admission under 106, the rule of completeness. We just heard a segment of Mr. Chow's statement that the state wants into evidence, and we would like for the jury to hear the entirety of that statement must be considered in its totality to fairly understand the context and obviously cross-examine this witness about the impression we just made in front of the jury.
We were just shown 2 envelopes labeled English body-worn camera. We just spent a lot of time yesterday talking about what needed to be redacted out of English's body-worn camera. We did that and played it today. I'm unclear what they want to introduce as far as English body cam, because we just played it today. And all I've seen is an envelope labeled English body camera. The other one is Carter. I believe they have Carter on their witness list. There has been no stipulation as far as hearsay exception. The statute is 19-5-520. And again, that is why we spent a lot of time muting several parts of our body-worn camera belonging to English, because there was a general objection to things that were spoken about in those body cameras. And what they're seeking to do is introduce through English, the witness who's on the stand now, something he didn't hear, something he wasn't privy to. It was a statement made to another officer. They can call him to the stand. But then I got a problem, because what is the exception they're offering? It couldn't be a party opponent. They're trying to offer something Mr. Chows said to another officer who's not in the courtroom today. I don't know what the exception is. They certainly can call him to the stand to talk about any statements he made to law enforcement that night. I'm sorry? No, they can certainly call Chick Chow to the stand to say anything that he remembers saying to law enforcement at the time. So just to be clear, I know this is confusing. I have not dealt with the case that we have. They are seeking to introduce a body-worn camera that contains a statement made by Chick Chow to an officer. And they're seeking to do it through English. He wasn't there to hear any of these statements. I don't understand how he can testify to this conversation. All they got to do is call Deputy Carter to authenticate the video, to talk about what he's saying, what the defendant's saying, but then they still have the hearsay permit. So they can certainly call him to the stand, and if he says something different, then we can impeach him with a prior statement. I don't know if I know it's a confusing situation to talk about. They're trying to introduce something that this officer wouldn't be privy to. Something that's picked up by a completely different officer's camera.
Your Honor, the facts of what he did not hear are just as proper to ask this witness about in the context of what he is now saying, that there was no statement made on the scene that night that Mr. Carmack-Belton pointed a gun at Andy Chow. That was very much communicated to officers on scene that night. And the state is really...
English's body-worn camera, it's already an exhibit.
English's body-worn camera, so what we're really talking about is Carter's body-worn camera. When English is asking Mr. Chow what happened, and he starts getting into the substance of it, and the very line that he starts referencing the gun that Mr. Carmack-Belton had, he walks away to go talk to Andy Chow.
Okay, well, I think everybody saw that already.
Right, and so the rest of the statement that Mr. Chow is making about the gun to Deputy Carter, there is no objection the state can have at this point in time, regardless of whether this witness has knowledge. We have stipulated to the foundation, we have stipulated to the hearsay exception.
I think it's still got to properly come in through the appropriate witness.
That would be for the purpose of establishing a foundation, if I'm not mistaken. And we've already stipulated that.
And I don't see how English establishes an appropriate foundation for Carter's body cam.
Well, we've stipulated that it need not be authenticated. No additional foundation needs to be laid for any of the 911, any of the body cam, or any of the surveillance.
I don't think anybody has done that.
Then I'm...
I did the business record affidavit motion, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in the notice that we sent, and even on the record, we said that pursuant to section 19.5.520. So I'm not sure what this 803 thing he keeps talking about. That's not the grounds that we got those business record affidavits under. We got it under the statute. And what we talked about on Friday was that the business record affidavit, the purpose for the body-worn cameras is that the videos themselves are authentic, meaning we didn't have to call English to say, yes, this is my body camera. But their main objection, I believe Mr. McCulloch was the one who said it, was that, yes, we will say that these videos are authentic, but we may have objections to the hearsay that are in the business record, which is typical with any business record. If it was a medical record and there was hearsay in it, you couldn't just put the medical records in. And that was the whole thing yesterday with English's body-worn camera and the statements of Lori and Kennedy and the other witnesses. They want all that muted because it was hearsay. It's the same thing in Carter's. And that's why the video surveillance is hearsay in those body cameras. And English didn't even hear the conversation. And like you said, there's no hearsay exception. We did not stipulate to hearsay in the videos of body cameras.
Your Honor, we're pretty flatly misrepresenting the record. Our entirety of our objection was 1 under 403, which the court recalls, and 2 under the confrontation clause, which is unique to a defendant. We have stipulated that the business record notice we got that contains reference to the statute that the state just cited is the notice of intent to offer business records, which is the hearsay exception. We agreed that all of this meets the first line of hearsay exception. And now the state is trying to dig itself out of this stipulation when we're offering this to save time. It's going to come in anyway. If the state doesn't want us to be able to correct the impression that it just made, I think we would need to give the court reporter time to listen to the question and answer that the state just asked this witness about who said what about Mr. Carmack-Belton pointing a gun at Andy Chow that night. And we haven't even gotten to the rule of completeness issue. If that needs to be reserved for our case, then so be it. But in fairness, there's no reason under the agreements that we have already made that this can't be offered time now.
The agreements are, it is what it purports to be, not that it comes in through any witness. Do we just not need to put it in? We just throw everything to the jury? So we already stipulated, nothing here to see. Well, that's what you're asking, essentially.
If the parties were to agree to all the, try to get legal issues, then we theoretically could do that. But I just don't understand what this state's issue is with putting the complete statement of the defendant.
Appropriate witness.
Understood, Your Honor.
Yeah, if you need to cross-examine him off of his body worn camera, you can, but not off of ours.
Understood, Your Honor.
Anything else? All right, then, jury, please, Mr. Cole. have done that. All right, Mr. English, I remind you, you're still under oath. Mr. Swerve.
Thank you, Al. Hey, Mr. English, let me ask you, when you were standing there and you had been talking to Mr. Chow, at some point when you asked the question, you walked away, somebody called you and you walked away from Mr. Chow. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was in the middle of a conversation about whether or not somebody saw the weapon or not,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Carter was standing right near you, was he not?
If I can remember so.
Pardon?
If I can remember correctly.
And did you happen to hear the conversation between Mr. Carter and Mr. Chow?
No, sir.
Did you happen to review it later?
No, I never watched
Okay.
his body count.
Are you aware, I mean, I'm not going to ask you the details of it, but are you aware of what Mr. Chow told Mr. Carter?
No, sir.
But you do agree that at the time you were asking that question, you got interrupted and walked away, and Mr. Chow was standing there. You didn't follow up with it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Got a few questions I'd like to ask you. When you arrived on the scene, Mr. Chow was still there, correct?
Correct.
And his son was still there, is that correct?
I don't recall it.
You don't remember whether, okay, all right. And did you observe what Mr. Chow was doing when you arrived?
I know when I arrived, he told me that there was a firearm on the ground.
Did you see him giving any kind of life-saving measures to Mr. Carmack-Belton?
No.
You did not see him?
I observed the other female
Okay.
giving chest
But
compressions.
he was standing there
Close
at the
to.
time you saw him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he stayed there and he spoke with you when you asked him some questions, correct?
Briefly, yes, sir.
Yeah. And we've already established that at some point you didn't follow up with the question, but Mr. Carter was standing right there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, you went ahead and you found the book bag in, I don't know, you call it a ditch or whatever.
The drainage ditch, yes, sir.
And you picked up the book bag, and at the point that you picked it up, you did not realize it had anything to do with the case. Is that correct?
I was unsure.
Pardon?
I was unsure if it had
Unsure.
anything to do with it, yes, sir.
But you did take it into your possession.
Correct.
And did you open the bag?
I looked inside briefly.
All right. And do you recall whether or not what was in the bag? Some papers?
Miscellaneous
You didn't see any
documents.
money in the bag, did you?
Not that I can recall. No, miscellaneous items, a few documents, that's it.
Okay. And what did you do with the bag at that point?
Put it back in my trunk.
And that's where you put the other items as well.
Correct.
When you found the Taurus 9mm semi-automatic weapon in the area, you went ahead and you picked that up. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you took it over to your vehicle as well?
Correct.
I think that's on the video.
Yes, sir.
And you went ahead and cleared what we call clear the gun, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
And when you cleared the gun, you realized the gun was loaded, correct? Did you pull the
Correct.
magazine out as well?
I did.
And the magazine had a full clip, correct?
It had rounds in the magazine, yes.
And there was when you pulled back the slide on the Taurus 9, there was a bullet in the chamber. Is that
It was a
correct?
round in the chamber, correct. Yes, sir.
Right. And you removed that bullet from the chamber, and then you safely put it in your vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
So at that point, the pistol was ready to fire, correct? If there was one in the chamber?
Yes.
Pardon?
Yes.
Now, also, with respect to this, I guess you call it a laser, a light, this was something that you put on a pistol, correct?
The tack light was an attachment.
In this particular situation, this is a combination of the laser and a light, correct?
Yes.
That you put on a pistol.
that you can
And it
attach
has
to
a
it.
certain groove on top of the pistol and the bottom to go ahead and attach it to it?
Yes.
Okay, and I believe you said it was common, but I mean, law enforcement doesn't carry those, as part of your normal duty, do you?
Law enforcement carry tack lights. That is correct.
They carry a tack light?
Yes, sir.
With a laser?
No, with the laser.
Oh,
that has
well, that's what I'm
light.
asking. What's the point of having a laser on a tack light?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Accuracy?
It could be, sure.
You can put the laser on a target and it's dead center, correct? You can hit that target because the laser hits that target, does it not?
I'm not an armorer, so I'm not sure.
All right. But you agree that the laser itself is not standard equipment, is not something that's common, correct?
Yes.
Tack light is,
Yes.
but not something with the laser.
Yes, sir.
You wouldn't go that far to say that's a common, some common instrument on a pistol, correct?
That's not common. No.
All right, and this was a semi-automatic. Were they hollow points or full jacket bullets?
I can't remember.
Okay. So you cleared it, you put it in your vehicle, and then you found the laser tack light, correct?
Correct.
And you took that to your vehicle and you stored it in your vehicle as well, correct?
No, I didn't pick up.
What did you do with that?
Stayed there until crime scene came. It was marked.
Okay, so, but it was taken into evidence.
It was. Yes, I
You
guess you could say
didn't, but
that.
somebody else took it.
Yes.
And as far as you were concerned, I believe you put it in your report that tack light laser went with the 9mm Taurus pistol.
It could have been
Correct.
attached to it. Yes.
That was your conclusion.
Yes.
In fact, you wrote a report about that,
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay. So again, let me just ask one, you cannot explain to the jury why someone would have a laser on a pistol or what the purpose of it is?
No, just because I'm not an armorer, but I noticed it had a flashlight on it.
Pardon?
I realized it had a flashlight on it, which
Well,
is a
flashlight, yeah,
tactical
but we're talking
attachment.
about a laser with a red dot.
Yes, I'm
Can
not.
you tell the jury, your law enforcement, how long you been in law enforcement?
4 years.
Okay. You cannot tell the jury why you would have a red dot laser on a vehicle?
You can use it for accuracy. Law enforcement doesn't carry it unless it's on a rifle. But as far as anything else, I'm not too sure. It's not really common, but the flashlight portion of it is very common. People use it when they want to see at nighttime, see into a room that's dimly lit. That's what you use the flashlight portion for. That's
Sure.
correct.
But when you made a comment on direct examination that it was common, you were referring to the light. You were not referring to the laser with the red dot, correct?
Correct. Yes, the
That was
flashlight is
not-
common.
Correct?
Sure.
All right, so we know Mr. Carter was standing there. Let me, you also, so you found the Taurus, you found the light, laser light, you found the bag. Did you, you knew that the folks had come down from the gas station down to that area, correct?
Can you ask the
On
question
street?
again?
The people had come from the gas station down to the area where Mr. Carmack-Belton was, correct? From the gas station down.
The
to
bystanders?
street. Pardon?
Bystanders?
I'm sorry?
Who were,
No,
what people?
the people that were involved, Mr. Chow, his son.
Yes, they came
Carmack-Belton.
from the gas station to the incident location. Yes, sir.
And you had found the bag on the side off the road, correct?
In the drainage ditch. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Did you conduct any search on either side of the road for any other item that you were aware of? Or did you?
Briefly, just in between making contact with witnesses and EMS personnel and fire personnel and Mr.
Were there
Carter.
woods and there are bushes on both sides of the road, correct?
Sure.
All right. And are you aware of whether or not a search was made of both sides of the road to see if there were any objects that seemed out of place?
Not that I can recall.
There were some people that came to the scene that were in one way or another were witnesses, supposedly witnesses, correct?
Correct.
And did you interview any of them to find out exactly where they were standing to determine whether or not they could observe what they were saying?
I talked to him briefly, but investigations were there. And
Okay.
Investigators.
And that's what I'm trying to decide who's doing what, but that's not something you do.
I mean, I can if I'm the only one on scene, but
Pardon?
I can if I'm the only one on scene.
I know.
But due to having other personnel there, I
Yeah,
allowed
right,
them
but
to
that's
do
what I'm
that.
saying. There were other people there. You did not do that.
Correct.
Let me ask you, this young man, Mr. Carmack-Belton, was 14 years of age. Is it legal for him to have a pistol?
It's not legal for him, for
Pardon?
any juvenile. No.
Was it legal for him to enter a store that's marked with no weapons and may enter?
I don't know if it was posted.
Pardon?
I don't know if it was posted, but no, it's not
If it
legal.
was.
No, it's not legal.
It's not legal, correct?
Correct.
So it's a criminal offense.
Correct.
And it would be a criminal offense for him to possess that particular weapon as well.
It'd be a
correct?
weapons law violation, correct?
But attorney, on the other side, you were able to determine that Mr. Chow had a concealed weapon permit, correct?
When he showed me, that is correct.
And that he had it when you saw him, talking to him, he had it in his holster, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we talked about the collection of evidence. And did you collect any other items of evidence at that point?
No, besides what we marked with a AA marker and AB marker, the backpack and the firearm.
And you marked those with those markers, and I think one of the
Crime scene
markers
did.
was a notebook that you put down
Yes,
just
sir.
to make sure you knew where exactly where it was?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, I'm just going to go through, we're just going to hit some points that I like to make, and just permit me one time to read it a little bit. All right, I'm not going to ask you some questions I've already asked you, but the backpack, do you remember anything that was in the backpack? Did you make an inventory of anything in the backpack?
No, like I said, miscellaneous documents, like two brushes.
Okay. But you didn't find any money in the backpack?
Not that I can recall, no.
Were you the one that got the two cell phones and the shoes? Or was that something you picked up or somebody else picked
If
up?
I'm not mistaken, maybe crime scene. I'm not sure though.
Okay, that's fine. You would agree that you did not you didn't conduct a full interview yet like you would want to of Mr. Chow, correct? There was just a couple of moments that you spoke to him, and you had to go off somewhere else.
I just asked him what happened.
Pardon?
I just asked him
Right, but
kind
you
of what
agreed
took
it
place.
was a brief conversation.
Brief conversation,
And it
correct?
wasn't really with no follow-up questions, correct?
Not from me, no.
Excuse me one minute. Belabor, appreciate you being here. So let's ask you one more question. Is that, as I understand it, you were in the middle of it or talking to Mr. Chow when you got called away were not able to finish an interview with him, correct?
Correct. That was where Mr. Carter took over.
Thank you.
Regret.
Okay, let me testify. These laser sights help in accuracy. Is that what you said?
It could help with accuracy. You see it more on a rifle than you do a pistol.
Did you have any reason to believe Cyrus used the laser inside of the shell station?
No.
Did you have any reason to believe he brandished the gun inside the shell station?
No.
Did you have any reason to believe?
That's not proper in the record. I didn't ask anything about that.
He was asking about the laser and what they're used for and aiming weapons, right? Wasn't that the question you were asked earlier? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any reason to believe, while you're on scene, that he brandished the weapon or used the laser in the parking lot of the Shell gas station?
No, sir. I have no reason to believe that.
Okay. Is any of that caught on video that you're aware of?
That he brandished a weapon?
Yeah, I object because that's not redirect.
Or flashed a laser at any point?
I know that.
I'm going to sustain that.
All right. You were asked about 14-year-olds can't legally carry guns, and you said that's correct. They cannot.
Yeah, that's correct. They legally cannot.
And it's a criminal offense.
It is.
Concealed weapons permit users have to follow the laws too, do they not?
If I'm not mistaken, yes, sir.
Okay. I mean, laws still apply to concealed weapons permits.
That is correct.
You were asked about money. Did you have reason to believe, or to your knowledge, did people move some evidence around before you guys got there?
Yes.
Okay. I think in your body camera, Mr. Chow even says he moved
The firearm,
the
correct.
firearm. Okay. How did the shoe, Cyrus Carmack-Belton's shoe, and how did those two cell phones get inside the convenience store?
Someone had to move them.
Somebody moved them there?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So you didn't find anybody, but you were told by the Chows that they had moved evidence around.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
All right, you can step down, Deputy. Thank you.
Your Honor. Ask witness not to be excused.
Mr. Disapproach.
Yes, sir.
Hang tight.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It was like one of the last questions.
It would have been towards the end of Deputy English's direct.
question are you looking for?
And it was Mr. Scott, and I helped you better. There was a question that Mr. Scott asked of Deputy Investigator.
Call me Mr. English.
Of Mr. English when he was on the stand on that one. About who did he tell, was anyone told, or did Mr. Chow someone told him about it? Point. Yeah, I'm just trying to use the keyword.
And in your body cam, when you talk to Rick Chow, what does he say? Did he say that he ever saw a gun? He said his son seen a gun, Cyrus trying to run away. He said he just said he fell and kept running. And then what did Mr. Rick Chow do as Cyrus was running away in his own words? He told him to drop the weapon and proceeded to shoot one shot or fire one round. Is that what you're doing?
No, ma'am.
It was right before.
It was right, okay, yeah.
Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
The testimony under oath is nobody said, told you that night that Cyrus pointed a gun that night. Answer was no, so no one told him that.
The question was, nobody told you.
Okay, is there anything further after that? I just want to make sure it's clear.
And then your body cam, when you talk to Rick Chow, what does he say? Did he say he ever saw a gun? That's where I just read.
Ma'am?
That's where I just read all that
Okay.
stuff before.
Okay, I want to do that, and I just want to be clear and cover myself for the record. I understand the question, Your Honor. Understanding, and we want to properly put this in, we believe the connotation left with the jury, and if you cite rules specifically 106, when a writing or recorded statement or part thereof is introduced by a party, an adverse party may require the introduction at that time of any other part of any other writing or recorded statement which ought in fairness to be considered contemporaneously with it. And Your Honor, if we take, and I've shown these, Your Honor, and I've shown these to the state. These are part of the transcripts of the video that you have already seen. The first one at the top of it says English number 1. That is what you watched and what the jury watched on the video screen. If you notice, it is highlighted yellow. At the last yellow line, it shows when this officer walked away. If you then go to the second page, which says Carter number 1, it shows where the question that was being asked of Mr. Chow, in which he was continuously answering the question that started from Mr. English and allowed him to finish the question that he was asking. So I'm showing you this is a continuous, contemporaneous statement, in which it goes against the solicitors making the suggestion that Mr. Chow never said on the side, and I know of course when he said it, but never said on the side that a gun was pointed at him and that we his son. And if we go to number 3 of that, that is when he specifically states the gun had been pointed at his son. We are just offering that, Your Honor, and the reason I've given you those 3 pages is to show that this is not a portion of a statement. It is one continuous matter. It is not, and I know it seems like it's 2 separate body cams, but it's one statement is why this is important. So I know it makes it seem as though Mr. English is doing one interview and Mr. Carter is doing one. It is one interview and Mr. Chow is giving one consistent statement. And then to stop it where they have stopped it and say, well, that's all we want to utilize, and then to be able to ask this officer what he didn't say anything to you about pointing his son, or firearm being pointed at his son. We don't know what they're going to call Carter. And of course, we have the right to do it. We also have the right if we want to, and that's why I didn't want this officer to leave until I heard the question. We possibly impeach him, and I understand now that I've heard the question, the court may not allow me to do it. But specifically under Rule 106, and if you read the case law that discusses under the rule under 106, it talks about this situation in which it's a continuous statement. So that would just be our position that we should have the right at this point in time, and not to wait until our own case or wait until the next officer, to be able to put in the entirety of what happened on the scene at that point in time, so we don't leave the jury with the impression, the incorrect impression, that this was not said. Because we know it actually was said at that point in time. I understand the court is saying, well, you guys can go ahead and call him, but that goes against what the rule of completeness means. That we should be able to do it right now because it's fresh in the jury's mind. Making us wait a week and a half or however long this case would take is why the rule is actually been created. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, and I apologize for making the jury go out, but I think I need to. And I can happily, if the court wants, I think we already put the body on camera. I know I gave you the clip, so I think we actually put it in the direction of Vegas courts.
All right, well, I think I've already ruled, but I'll allow you to make your record.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Chows. And so you still want Mr. English still under subpoena?
We do, Your Honor, but I do not mind him leaving the courtroom. We will contact him. I think we'll be easier because I don't want him sitting around. It's okay if I contact him when you do the retestify. You said that won't work?
No.
Okay, then he's under subpoena.
Okay. So you're still subject to the subpoena, but you can leave today.
I think he said yes to work.
Oh, yeah, I thought he said that wouldn't work. I was,
Well, let y'all clear it up before you.
can I just talk to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
I'll just call him. In Washington, D.C. starting tomorrow, we'll be there until September, and I would not want to do that to anyone based on this thing. We can figure out a creative way to get the rest of that information in. But I would have that conversation just now. I understand that. I don't want anyone to miss work.
All right, you're released from your subpoena. Thanks for being here, y'all.
And Your Honor, if possible, the things that I just gave you, if we can make this court exhibits.
Yep.
Thanks.
12, 13, and 14.
No, right.
13, 14. All right.
And Your Honor, just for the record, understanding that we will, based upon the court's rulings, have to, and we have no problem with calling Investigator Carter. One, I want to make sure he has not been released from the state subpoena. They don't have to tell me if they're planning on calling, just make sure he has not been released from the state subpoena.
We told him we were not going to call. That's what I told him.
But he has not been released from the state subpoena as announced, but he is still under subject to the subpoena prior to court. So we would just ask the state not release him and not tell him that he may not be required to testify.
I told him I would not be calling. So y'all need to do it.
Yeah, if the court in fairness, now that we're hearing and seeing what is put on, we understand my concerns in making a court's witness so he is not able to just avoid. I think that is a rule. My concern, Your Honor, is, and I understand you, I don't want you to fair this purpose, but to put that testimony in and then realize that they were never going to put in the second part and now put that question in front of the jury. This is why the rule of completeness exists, and say and they knew they weren't going to call this witness. That's why. They knew they weren't going to call this witness. They asked that question specifically. They knew they were never going to put this witness on. And then to say that we don't have a right to put the rest of the statement in unless we do something else and not. I just asked, we have no problem with calling this witness, but it's very wild that the statement saying, well, I told them I wasn't going to call him.
I thought they were going to subpoena him. They have the same subpoena powers we do. They gave us their witness list, and he was not.
Absolutely, Your Honor, I have no problem with that. I'm just making sure that if they have had contact with him, he is a deputy, law enforcement, it's always much easier for the state to have someone show up than it is for them. That's all I'm asking. They've had contact with him, make sure he's not released for the subpoena, the defense will be calling him, or he can be told that he is a court witness and cannot be released. I'm very concerned now, especially given the impression that they just gave to this jury that there's a reason that they don't want this witness to show up. Yeah. And then this goes back to Mr. Curtis, that there was the question of whether or not, and I know there's confusion now, whether there was a stipulation that all of this information would be coming in. And so there is some confusion there. But that being said, we'll happily call him so long they don't release him, or if we make him a court's witness, And if this is an exercise in trying to get the full and fair information out, to simply say, well, we don't know where this witness is, and then I can't stress enough, putting that information in front of the jury and knowing that the next question is not going to be asked, that's a close call.
That was a very clear question. Who said to you anything about pointing a gun? I didn't say who has ever said it. And by the way, here's the thing that everybody needs to know. He never told Carter, so he never used the word point with him either, did he?
Then there should be no problem with putting the rest of it in.
Call him.
That's what I just
John,
said.
just want to make sure for the record, I know the jury's not in here, but I mean, these words like nefarious keep getting used, and I've kind of reached my field.
I have too.
This is
Yes,
just-
You got an ethical issue, go down the street and
Yes, sir.
stop accusing people of ethical problems in this courtroom. I haven't seen one yet. I see two very excellent and capable teams advocating for their positions, but I haven't seen anything unethical, and I'm tired of hearing about it.
I understand.
I'm getting impatient. We went one witness, and we keep arguing about how many angels we can put on the head of a needle. I've ruled on the issue. You are all great lawyers. You know how to send a subpoena. If you need Carter, you can send him a subpoena.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are we ready for the next witness?
I've been ready.
Get the jury.